The briefing room fell silent when she walked in, not the respectful silence reserved for superior officers, but the uncomfortable quiet that follows a mistake. 23 hardened military personnel, including a Navy SEAL captain whose chest bore ribbons from 3 combat deployments, shifted in their seats. Someone had clearly screwed up the roster. Lieutenant Commander Kestrel Ghost Thorne moved to the back corner without acknowledgement, her flight suit bearing patches from squadrons most of these men had only heard whispered about in mess halls. The fabric showed where patterns unique to someone who'd spent serious time in cockpits under stress. Her hands, steady as surgical instruments, carried calluses in places that spoke of emergency ejections and hard landings in places that didn't exist on official maps. "Gentlemen," the briefing officer began, then caught himself with visible discomfort. Personnel, we have a situation developing in the Strait of Hormuz." Captain Marcus Reeves, the SEAL team leader, glanced back at Ghost with barely concealed irritation. His weathered face carried the confidence of a man who'd never failed a mission, never questioned an order. The kind of operator who believed certain spaces belonged to certain people, and this briefing room was his cathedral. The presence of someone who clearly didn't fit his mental roster felt like a clerical error that would sort itself out momentarily. Ghost's call sign had been earned in the Hindu Kush, though no one in this room knew that story. They saw regulation haircut, standard-issue flight suit, and made their calculations accordingly. What they missed were the micro-movements, how she positioned herself with clear sightlines to both exits, how her eyes tracked the room's acoustics, how she stood with the balanced weight distribution of someone who'd learned to fight in confined spaces. The briefing officer clicked to the first slide, satellite imagery of Iranian patrol boats moving in formation toward international shipping lanes. Intelligence suggests a coordinated attempt to disrupt commercial traffic. 3 cargo vessels are currently dead in the water, crews unaccounted for. Ghost's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She'd seen this pattern before, though her previous encounters with maritime interdiction had occurred in operational theaters these officers would never be cleared to know about. The spacing of those patrol boats, the deliberate positioning near shipping channels, this wasn't opportunistic piracy. This was surgical. "Sir," Captain Reeves interrupted, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being the deadliest person in any room. "What's our rules of engagement? And," he gestured vaguely toward Ghost without looking directly at her, "who exactly is handling air support?" The briefing officer's pause stretched just long enough to become uncomfortable. In that silence, Ghost felt the familiar weight of proving herself all over again. The morning sun blazed through the briefing room's reinforced windows as the satellite feed updated in real time. Iranian patrol boats had formed a defensive perimeter around the 3 cargo vessels, their wake patterns suggesting coordinated movement that spoke of military precision rather than opportunistic boarding actions. Ghost studied the formation with the analytical detachment that had kept her alive through 17 classified missions, noting details that others might miss. The boats maintained perfect spacing, their positioning optimized for mutual fire support, and they'd chosen their intercept point with surgical precision to maximize international incident potential while maintaining plausible deniability. Captain Reeves leaned forward in his chair, tactical mind, already parsing insertion routes and extraction scenarios. His team had handled dozens of maritime boarding operations, from the oil platforms of West Africa to the shipping lanes of Southeast Asia. But something about this situation felt different, more deliberately orchestrated. The Iranians weren't just disrupting commerce. They were sending a message with military grammar that suggested state-level coordination. Intel assessment indicates the cargo vessels are carrying humanitarian supplies to Yemen, the briefing officer continued, his voice steady despite the geopolitical implications. Medical equipment, food supplies, basic infrastructure materials. Nothing that should trigger this level of response from Iranian maritime forces. Ghost's expression remained neutral, but her mind raced through tactical possibilities. Humanitarian cargo provided perfect cover for weapons shipments, and the Iranians knew it. They also knew that any aggressive response to seemingly legitimate interdiction efforts would play poorly in international media. Surgical thinking. Create a scenario where any American military response would appear disproportionate, regardless of the underlying strategic reality. "Ma'am," the briefing officer addressed Ghost directly for the first time, the formal acknowledgement cutting through the room's tension like a blade. "Your aircraft is configured for reconnaissance and close air support. We'll need eyes on the situation before any direct action can be authorized." Several heads turned toward Ghost, the shift in attention carrying weight that hadn't been there moments before. Captain Reeves studied her with new focus, his operator's instincts finally engaging with the possibility that her presence might be intentional rather than accidental. The casual dismissal in his earlier glance had been replaced by tactical curiosity. Ghost nodded once, a movement economical and precise. "Time to target. 17 minutes to launch window. Weather's holding steady. Visibility unlimited above 15,000 feet. Iranian air defense systems are active but following normal patterns." The briefing officer's tone had shifted into operational cadence, the bureaucratic uncertainty replaced by mission focus. "Rules of engagement." Ghost's voice carried no inflection, just professional necessity seeking clarification on the boundaries within which she'd be operating. "Reconnaissance only unless directly threatened. Document everything, maintain standoff distance, report tactical assessment through encrypted channels." Standard language for situations where political considerations outweighed tactical preferences, where every decision would be scrutinized through multiple layers of command authority. Ghost checked her watch with mechanical precision. 17 minutes meant pre-flight would begin in 12, giving her just enough time to review aircraft systems and weather updates. Her FA-18F Super Hornet waited on the carrier deck, armed with sensors that could read license plates from cruising altitude and weapons systems that could level city blocks. The weight of unspoken expectations settled across the briefing room like morning fog. Captain Reeves found himself watching Ghost's preparations with growing respect, recognizing in her movements the same methodical precision that separated elite operators from merely competent ones. Her presence was beginning to make sense in ways that had nothing to do with bureaucratic error and everything to do with operational necessity. The carrier deck vibrated beneath Ghost's boots as she completed her pre-flight inspection, her hands moving across control surfaces and weapons pylons, with the muscle memory of someone who'd performed these rituals under conditions ranging from routine to desperate. The Super Hornet gleamed under the morning sun, its twin engines capable of pushing 34,000 pounds of aircraft and weapons through hostile airspace at speeds that compressed time into split-second decision windows. This particular aircraft bore subtle modifications that weren't standard Navy configuration. Additional sensor packages, hardened communications equipment, and radar-absorbing coatings that suggested a service history in operational theaters where being seen meant being dead. Deck crew moved around her with choreographed precision, each technician focused on their specific area of expertise, while maintaining awareness of the larger symphony of carrier operations. The flight deck of a nuclear aircraft carrier represented organized chaos refined into military art form. Steam catapults, arresting wires, jet exhaust, and human beings working in harmony despite conditions that would be lethal without constant vigilance and perfect coordination. "Ghost Tower," crackled through her helmet communications as she settled into the cockpit, her hands automatically finding familiar switches and controls. The seat had been adjusted to her specifications, every surface positioned to maximize tactical effectiveness during extended flight operations. Weather update shows scattered clouds at Angels 12, unlimited visibility above. Iranian air defense radar painting normal patterns, no unusual activity detected. "Ghost copies all, tower." Her voice carried the steady professionalism that marked experienced combat pilots, no wasted words or unnecessary inflection. Below her, the deck crew completed final systems checks while she ran through her own internal checklist, verifying that every system critical to mission success was functioning within acceptable parameters. The catapult officer raised his signal board, the visual confirmation that preceded the controlled violence of carrier launch operations. Ghost advanced throttles to military power, feeling 34,000 pounds of precisely engineered machinery respond to her commands. The twin F414 engines produced a sound that resonated through the carrier's superstructure, a mechanical symphony that spoke of controlled destruction held barely in check. Captain Reeves watched from the island's superstructure, his tactical mind automatically cataloging details that separated routine operations from something more significant. The way Ghost positioned her aircraft on the catapult, the efficiency of her pre-flight procedures, the casual competence with which she handled systems that required years to master all suggested operational experience that extended beyond normal Navy training pipelines. Green deck, called the air traffic controller, confirming that the flight deck was clear for launch operations. Ghost's right hand found the catapult grip, her left maintaining throttle position while her eyes swept across instrument displays one final time. 17 minutes had compressed into this moment. 30,000 pounds of thrust, 2 miles of catapult acceleration, and then maritime reconnaissance over politically sensitive waters where every decision would be scrutinized through multiple layers of command authority. The catapult officer dropped his signal board. 200 feet of steam-powered acceleration transformed Ghost from stationary aircraft to airborne weapons system in less than 3 seconds, the carrier deck falling away beneath her, as physics and engineering combined to achieve controlled flight through hostile environment. Iranian airspace appeared on Ghost's tactical display as a complex lattice of radar coverage, surface-to-air missile sites, and patrol aircraft operating in coordinated patterns that suggested military professionalism rather than opportunistic aggression. Her Super Hornet climbed steadily toward cruising altitude, sensors automatically cataloging electronic signatures and tactical dispositions, while maintaining the careful balance between gathering intelligence and avoiding provocative behavior that might escalate an already delicate situation. Tower Ghost, approaching reconnaissance altitude, sensors active, no hostile contacts detected. Her voice remained steady despite the complexity of operating single-pilot aircraft in contested airspace, where every electronic emission could be interpreted as either legitimate intelligence gathering or preliminary targeting. The distinction often existed only in the minds of political decision-makers, who would never experience the visceral reality of flying sophisticated weapons systems through environments where mistakes measured in microseconds could trigger international incidents. Below her, the Strait of Hormuz stretched like a narrow throat between the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman, its strategic importance measured not just in oil tanker traffic, but in the broader geopolitical implications of maritime chokepoint control. The Iranian patrol boats appeared as discrete radar contacts maintaining formation around 3 larger signatures that corresponded to the interdicted cargo vessels. Their positioning demonstrated tactical sophistication, maximum visual impact for international media, while maintaining defensive arrangements that would complicate any rescue attempt. Ghost Tower, what's your tactical assessment? The voice from the carrier carried undertones of command authority, seeking operational input from someone positioned to observe details that wouldn't be visible from satellite imagery or electronic intelligence gathering. Ghost banked slightly to improve her sensor angle while maintaining prescribed standoff distance. Through her aircraft's optical systems, she could observe Iranian naval personnel conducting what appeared to be systematic searches of the cargo vessels. Their movements suggested familiarity with maritime boarding procedures, not the improvised actions of opportunistic pirates. The timing, coordination, and professional execution pointed toward state-sponsored operations with objectives that extended beyond simple commercial disruption. Tower Ghost observed 3 patrol boats, Ghadir-class, maintaining defensive formation around cargo vessels. Iranian personnel conducting systematic searches, estimated 24 personnel visible on deck, armed with what appear to be AK-pattern rifles and RPGs. No visible hostile intent toward cargo crews, but systematic search pattern suggests they're looking for specific items rather than conducting general seizure. Captain Reeves monitored the communication from the carrier's tactical center, his operational experience providing context for Ghost's observations. Ghadir-class boats represented serious military hardware, fast attack craft armed with torpedoes and anti-ship missiles, operated by Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps naval forces rather than regular Navy units. Their presence indicated this operation had been planned at levels that connected directly to Tehran's strategic decision-making apparatus. Any indication of air support? Tower's question carried implications that every pilot understood. Iranian air power could transform reconnaissance mission into combat engagement within minutes of detection. Ghost sensors swept the airspace systematically, detecting normal civil aviation traffic but no military aircraft within immediate tactical range. Her electronic warfare systems showed Iranian ground-based radar operating in search mode rather than targeting configuration, suggesting they were aware of her presence but not yet treating her as an immediate threat. The morning sun climbed higher above the strait, its reflection turning the water into a mirror that complicated visual identification while providing thermal contrast that enhanced her aircraft's infrared sensors. Ghost maintained her orbit at prescribed altitude, gathering intelligence while remaining acutely aware that her presence was undoubtedly being reported through Iranian command channels to decision-makers who might interpret American reconnaissance as preparation for military intervention. Ghost's tactical display updated continuously as her sensors painted detailed electronic signatures from the Iranian patrol boats below. Each vessel's radar and communications equipment possessed distinct characteristics that her aircraft's intelligence-gathering systems cataloged automatically, building a comprehensive picture of Iranian naval capabilities that would prove valuable for future operations regardless of how this particular incident resolved. The Ghadir-class boats represented sophisticated military hardware, displacement around 120 tons, armed with torpedoes and anti-ship missiles, capable of 35 knots in calm seas, not vessels that wandered into international shipping lanes by accident. Tower Ghost, detecting encrypted communications between patrol boats and shore-based command. Pattern suggests coordinated operation with higher-level authorization. Her professional assessment carried implications that would ripple through multiple command levels. This wasn't rogue naval unit acting independently, but deliberate Iranian government policy being executed through military assets. Through her optical sensors, Ghost observed Iranian naval personnel methodically searching cargo containers aboard the 3 interdicted vessels. Their movements demonstrated familiarity with maritime boarding procedures that suggested regular training and operational experience. They wore uniform equipment, maintained tactical spacing, and communicated through what appeared to be standard military hand signals. Professional execution that contrasted sharply with opportunistic piracy. Captain Reeves studied tactical displays in the carrier's intelligence center, his operational mind processing Ghost's reports alongside broader strategic intelligence. Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps naval forces had been increasingly aggressive in recent months, but this level of coordination suggested policy decisions made at levels that connected directly to Tehran's strategic planning apparatus. The humanitarian cargo provided perfect political cover, while creating impossible tactical dilemmas for American response options. Ghost Tower. Any indication what they're searching for? The question carried weight that extended beyond immediate tactical concerns. If Iranian forces were conducting targeted searches rather than general seizure operations, the implications for regional stability could be significant. Ghost adjusted her orbit slightly to improve sensor angle while maintaining prescribed standoff distance. The Iranian personnel appeared focused on specific cargo containers rather than conducting comprehensive searches of all materials aboard the vessels. Their selection criteria weren't visible from her altitude, but the systematic approach suggested they possessed intelligence about specific cargo that had motivated this operation. Tower Ghost. Observe focused search pattern on forward cargo sections of all three vessels. Iranian personnel appear to be targeting specific containers rather than conducting general searches. Estimate they're operating from intelligence about particular cargo items. Her voice remained steady despite the complexity of conducting single-pilot reconnaissance in politically sensitive airspace, where every observation might influence strategic decision-making. The morning sun continued its climb above the strait, creating thermal layers that affected both her aircraft's performance characteristics and the electronic signatures of vessels below. Ghost monitored engine parameters automatically while maintaining focus on intelligence gathering, her training enabling her to process multiple information streams simultaneously without degrading performance in any single area. Iranian ground-based radar continued painting her aircraft in search mode, tracking her movement without shifting to targeting configuration. Their restraints suggested orders to monitor American presence without taking actions that might provoke escalation. Professional military discipline rather than aggressive posturing, which paradoxically made the situation more dangerous by indicating deliberate strategic calculation rather than impulsive tactical response. Tower Ghost. Recommend continuous monitoring. Iranian actions suggest systematic operation with specific objectives rather than opportunistic maritime interdiction. Their restraint toward American reconnaissance indicates strategic rather than tactical decision-making. Ghost's assessment would influence briefings that reached cabinet-level discussions within hours, her observations from 30,000 feet above the strait carrying weight that she understood but couldn't fully control. The weight of international implications settled across Ghost's consciousness as she maintained her reconnaissance orbit above waters that had witnessed decades of geopolitical tension. Every electronic emission from her aircraft was being monitored, analyzed, and reported through Iranian command channels to decision-makers in Tehran, who would interpret American military presence according to their own strategic calculations. The delicate balance between gathering necessary intelligence and avoiding provocative behavior required constant recalibration as tactical situations evolved in real time. Tower Ghost. Iranian patrol boats beginning to alter formation. Lead vessel moving toward international boundary, other two maintaining position around cargo ships. Her voice carried the steady professionalism that marked experienced combat pilots, but underlying tension was beginning to show as the tactical situation developed beyond simple maritime interdiction toward something more strategically significant. Captain Reeves monitored communications from the carrier's tactical center, his operational experience providing context that transformed individual observations into broader tactical assessment. Iranian naval forces were demonstrating sophisticated command and control capabilities, their coordination suggesting preparation and planning that extended far beyond opportunistic response to target ships in their operational area. The systematic nature of their actions pointed toward strategic objectives that connected directly to broader regional power dynamics. Through her aircraft sensors, Ghost observed Iranian naval personnel completing their searches aboard two of the three cargo vessels. Their movements suggested they had found what they were looking for. Specific containers were being transferred to the patrol boats, while others remained untouched. The selectivity indicated intelligence-driven operations rather than general seizure of humanitarian supplies, raising questions about what exactly had been transported aboard vessels supposedly carrying medical equipment and food supplies to Yemen. Tower Ghost, observing cargo transfer from interdicted vessels to Iranian patrol boats, specific containers being selected while majority of cargo remains aboard original ships. Estimate Iranian forces operating from detailed intelligence about particular items. Ghost's tactical assessment would influence briefings at multiple command levels, her observations carrying implications that extended far beyond immediate maritime interdiction. The Iranian lead vessel had moved to within 500 meters of international waters, its positioning clearly deliberate, not quite crossing into territory that would trigger automatic response protocols, but close enough to send unmistakable message about Iranian willingness to challenge American maritime presence in waters they considered strategically vital to their national interests. Ghost's electronic warfare systems detected subtle changes in Iranian radar signatures, emissions patterns shifting from search mode toward more focused tracking. Not yet targeting configuration, but indication that Iranian operators were preparing for potential escalation. Professional military restraint maintained, while demonstrating capability and resolve that American intelligence would report through multiple channels to decision-makers in Washington. Ghost Tower, status report on cargo transfer operations. The question from the carrier carried undertones of command authority seeking tactical intelligence that would inform strategic decision-making at levels far above operational command. Tower Ghost, estimates 70% of targeted containers have been transferred to Iranian patrol boats. Original cargo crews remain aboard their vessels, no visible indication of hostile treatment. Iranian forces appear focused on specific materials rather than general seizure operations. Ghost's observations painted picture of sophisticated intelligence operation, disguised as maritime interdiction, raising questions about what exactly had been transported aboard humanitarian supply vessels. The morning sun climbed higher above the strait, its angle creating thermal effects that complicated both visual identification and electronic sensor performance. Ghost monitored her aircraft systems automatically while maintaining focus on intelligence gathering, her training enabling simultaneous processing of multiple information streams without degrading tactical effectiveness in any single operational area. Tower Ghost, Iranian patrol boats completing cargo transfer operations. Estimate they have acquired targeted materials. Lead vessel still positioned near international boundary, appears to be waiting for something. Ghost's assessment carried implications that would influence strategic discussions within hours, her tactical observations from above the strait providing intelligence that couldn't be gathered through satellite surveillance or electronic intercepts alone. Ghost sensors detected increasing radio traffic between Iranian patrol boats and shore-based command facilities as cargo transfer operations neared completion. The encrypted communications suggested coordination with higher military authority, indicating that whatever materials had been seized would be transported according to predetermined plans rather than improvised tactical decisions. Professional military execution that contrasted with opportunistic piracy or random maritime interdiction. Tower Ghost, detecting increased communications activity between Iranian vessels and shore command. Pattern suggests predetermined extraction plan rather than improvised response to target opportunity. Her voice remained steady despite growing awareness that she was observing the execution of carefully planned intelligence operation disguised as routine maritime enforcement action. The tactical situation was evolving beyond simple reconnaissance mission toward something with broader strategic implications. Ghost maintained her prescribed orbit while monitoring electronic signatures that painted increasingly complex picture of Iranian operational capabilities and strategic objectives. Her aircraft's intelligence-gathering systems cataloged details that would prove valuable for future operations, regardless of how this particular incident resolved. Captain Reeves studied tactical displays that updated continuously with Ghost's observations. His operational mind processing individual data points into broader assessment of Iranian military capabilities and strategic intentions. The coordination between naval forces, the sophisticated intelligence that had enabled targeted seizure of specific cargo, and the professional restraint demonstrated toward American reconnaissance aircraft all suggested strategic planning at levels that connected directly to Tehran's national security decision-making apparatus. Iranian ground-based radar continued tracking Ghost's aircraft without shifting to targeting configuration, maintaining professional military discipline that indicated orders to monitor American presence without taking actions that might provoke escalation. Their restraint paradoxically made the situation more dangerous by demonstrating deliberate strategic calculation rather than impulsive tactical response to perceived threats. Tower Ghost, Iranian lead vessel beginning movement toward territorial waters. Other patrol boats maintaining formation around cargo ships. Estimate cargo transfer operations 90% complete. Ghost's tactical assessment would reach cabinet-level briefings within hours, her observations carrying weight that she understood but couldn't fully control from 30,000 feet above politically sensitive waters. The morning thermal layers continued affecting both aircraft performance and sensor effectiveness, as Ghost maintained reconnaissance orbit above the strait. Her training enabled her to compensate automatically for environmental factors, while maintaining focus on intelligence gathering that would influence strategic decision-making at multiple command levels. Ghost Tower, any indication of Iranian air support responding to area. The question carried implications that every combat pilot understood. Hostile aircraft could transform reconnaissance mission into air-to-air engagement within minutes of detection, requiring tactical decisions that would be scrutinized through multiple layers of command authority. Ghost sensors swept airspace systematically, detecting normal civilian aviation traffic, but no military aircraft within immediate tactical range. Iranian air defense systems remained in search mode rather than targeting configuration, suggesting awareness of her presence without immediate hostile intent. Professional restraint that indicated strategic rather than tactical decision-making processes governing Iranian military response to American reconnaissance operations. Tower Ghost, no hostile air activity detected. Iranian ground-based radar tracking but not targeting. Assess their maintaining professional restraint consistent with strategic rather than tactical decision-making. Her assessment painted picture of deliberately calculated Iranian response rather than impulsive military reaction to American presence above strategically sensitive waters. The weight of potential escalation scenarios settled across Ghost's tactical consciousness as she observed Iranian patrol boats completing their cargo seizure operations, while maintaining careful positioning relative to international boundaries. Every aspect of their behavior suggested sophisticated command and control capabilities coordinated with strategic objectives that extended far beyond simple maritime interdiction or opportunistic seizure of humanitarian supplies. Ghost's electronic warfare systems detected subtle shift in Iranian radar signatures as patrol boats began coordinated movement toward territorial waters with their seized cargo. The timing suggested predetermined extraction plan rather than improvised response to tactical opportunity, indicating that whatever materials had been targeted were considered strategically valuable enough to justify risking international incident through seizure operations in contested waters. Tower Ghost, Iranian patrol boats initiating coordinated withdrawal toward territorial waters. Cargo crews remain aboard original vessels, no visible indication of hostile treatment toward civilian personnel. Assess, Iranian operation focused on specific materials rather than general maritime interdiction. Her tactical observations would influence strategic briefings within hours. Intelligence gathered from reconnaissance orbit above the strait providing details unavailable through satellite surveillance or electronic intercepts. Captain Reeves monitored communications from the carrier's intelligence center, his operational experience enabling him to process Ghost's reports alongside broader strategic intelligence about Iranian military capabilities and regional power dynamics. The sophisticated coordination between naval forces, the precision targeting of specific cargo containers, and the professional restraint demonstrated toward American reconnaissance aircraft all painted picture of carefully planned operation executed according to strategic objectives determined at highest levels of Iranian government. Through her aircraft's optical systems, Ghost observed Iranian personnel securing seized cargo aboard patrol boats while maintaining defensive formations that would complicate any attempt at interdiction or recovery. Their tactical dispositions demonstrated military professionalism and operational experience, suggesting regular training in maritime boarding procedures and cargo seizure operations. Tower Ghost, Iranian forces completing cargo security procedures aboard patrol boats. Defensive formations suggest preparation for potential interdiction attempts during withdrawal to territorial waters. Ghost's assessment carried tactical implications that would influence operational planning at multiple command levels, her observations providing intelligence crucial for understanding Iranian military capabilities and strategic intentions. The morning sun continued climbing above the strait, creating atmospheric conditions that affected both her aircraft's performance characteristics and the electronic signatures of vessels below. Ghost compensated automatically for environmental factors while maintaining focus on intelligence gathering that would inform strategic decision-making processes, extending far beyond immediate tactical considerations. Iranian ground-based radar maintained search mode tracking of her aircraft without shifting to targeting configuration, professional military discipline that indicated strategic rather than tactical control over Iranian response to American reconnaissance presence. Their restraint suggested orders from command authority levels that connected directly to Tehran's national security decision-making apparatus. Ghost Tower, what's your assessment of Iranian extraction timeline? The question from the carrier carried undertones of command authority seeking tactical intelligence that would inform strategic decisions about potential American response options. Tower Ghost, estimate Iranian patrol boats will reach territorial waters within 20 minutes current course and speed. Seized cargo secured aboard lead vessel, other boats providing escort formation. Professional military execution suggests predetermined extraction plan rather than improvised tactical response. Ghost's observations painted picture of sophisticated intelligence operation, disguised as maritime enforcement action, raising questions about the true nature of cargo that had justified risking international incident. The tactical situation had evolved from simple reconnaissance mission to observation of carefully orchestrated Iranian intelligence operation. Ghost maintained prescribed orbit while monitoring electronic signatures that provided valuable intelligence about Iranian military capabilities, regardless of how this particular incident would be resolved through diplomatic channels. Tower Ghost, Iranian patrol boats have entered territorial waters. Cargo seizure operations complete. Civilian crews released aboard original vessels. Assess, Iranian forces achieve strategic objectives through professionally executed maritime interdiction operation. Ghost's final tactical assessment would reach multiple command levels within hours, her reconnaissance providing intelligence that couldn't be gathered through other collection methods. The Iranian patrol boats disappeared into territorial waters, while Ghost maintained her orbit above international airspace, her sensors continuing to monitor electronic signatures and tactical dispositions that would prove valuable for future operational planning. The professional execution of the Iranian operation suggested strategic planning capabilities that would influence American assessment of regional military balance and potential response options to similar incidents in the future. Tower Ghost, mission complete. Iranian forces have withdrawn to territorial waters with seized cargo. Recommend continuous monitoring of regional maritime traffic patterns. Her voice carried the steady professionalism that marked experienced combat pilots, but underlying awareness of strategic implications extended far beyond immediate tactical considerations. Captain Reeves studied tactical displays that would soon become part of intelligence briefings, reaching cabinet-level discussions in Washington. Ghost's reconnaissance had provided detailed assessment of Iranian military capabilities and strategic intentions that would influence regional security calculations for months to come. Her observations from above the strait carried weight that extended far beyond simple tactical intelligence gathering. Ghost began her return flight to the carrier as Iranian patrol boats completed their withdrawal into territorial waters. Her mission accomplished, but strategic questions raised by her observations would influence policy discussions at levels far above operational command. The professional execution of Iranian maritime interdiction suggested capabilities and intentions that would require careful assessment by strategic planners responsible for regional stability. The return flight to the carrier provided Ghost with time to process the strategic implications of what she had observed above the strait. The Iranian operation had demonstrated sophisticated intelligence capabilities, professional military execution, and strategic restraint that suggested careful planning at levels connecting directly to Tehran's national security decision-making apparatus. Her reconnaissance had documented capabilities that would influence American assessment of regional military balance for years to come. Tower Ghost, inbound for recovery, mission complete. Comprehensive tactical assessment will be available for debrief within 30 minutes of landing. Her voice maintained professional composure despite awareness that her observations would influence strategic discussions extending far beyond immediate operational considerations. The nuclear aircraft carrier appeared on the horizon as Ghost began her approach for landing, the controlled chaos of flight deck operations providing familiar routine after the tension of conducting reconnaissance in politically sensitive airspace. Her successful mission had provided intelligence crucial for understanding Iranian military capabilities, but strategic questions raised by her observations would require answers from decision-makers at levels far above her operational authority. Captain Reeves waited on the carrier's island superstructure as Ghost Super Hornet approached for landing, his tactical mind already processing the intelligence implications of her reconnaissance mission. The professional competence she had demonstrated during the operation had earned his respect, but more importantly, her observations had provided strategic intelligence that would influence regional security calculations for months to come. Ghost's aircraft touched down on the carrier deck with precision that spoke of extensive operational experience, the arresting wire bringing 34,000 pounds of sophisticated military hardware to controlled stop within prescribed distance. Her successful mission had demonstrated both individual professional competence and the continuing strategic importance of human intelligence, gathering in an era of increasing technological sophistication. The morning sun climbed higher above the carrier as Ghost completed post-flight procedures, her reconnaissance mission above the strait having provided intelligence that would influence strategic discussions at multiple levels of government. The Iranian operation she had observed represented sophisticated military capabilities that would require careful assessment by planners responsible for regional stability and American strategic interests in politically vital waters. Ghost's debrief took place in the carrier's intelligence center, her tactical observations providing detailed assessment of Iranian military capabilities that couldn't be gathered through satellite surveillance or electronic intercepts alone. Captain Reeves attended the session, his operational experience enabling him to appreciate both the professional competence she had demonstrated and the strategic value of intelligence she had gathered during reconnaissance mission above politically sensitive waters. The Iranian operation demonstrated sophisticated planning and professional execution, Ghost reported to assembled intelligence officers. Their targeting of specific cargo containers suggests detailed advance intelligence about vessel contents. The coordination between naval forces and shore-based command indicates strategic rather than tactical decision-making processes. Her assessment painted picture of Iranian military capabilities that would influence American strategic planning for regional operations. The professional restraint demonstrated by Iranian forces, combined with sophisticated intelligence and operational coordination, suggested strategic thinking at levels that connected directly to Tehran's national security objectives. Captain Reeves found himself reassessing his initial impressions of Ghost as her debrief continued. The tactical observations she had gathered, the professional competence demonstrated during challenging reconnaissance mission, and the strategic insights she provided about Iranian military capabilities all spoke of operational experience that extended far beyond routine Navy training pipelines. What's your assessment of Iranian strategic objectives? Asked the senior intelligence officer, seeking tactical input that would inform strategic briefings reaching cabinet-level discussions within hours. The precision targeting of specific cargo suggests they were operating from detailed intelligence about items being transported aboard humanitarian supply vessels, Ghost responded. The professional execution and strategic restraint indicate this operation was planned at levels connecting directly to Tehran's strategic decision-making apparatus. They achieved their objectives while maintaining plausible deniability and avoiding actions that would justify American military response. Her analysis would influence policy discussions at multiple levels of government. Tactical observations from reconnaissance orbit above the strait, providing intelligence crucial for understanding Iranian capabilities and strategic intentions. The morning's mission had demonstrated both individual professional competence and continuing importance of human intelligence gathering in complex strategic environment. The intelligence debrief concluded with Ghost's comprehensive assessment being forwarded through multiple command levels toward strategic planners responsible for regional stability. Her observations had provided detailed picture of Iranian military capabilities that would influence American assessment of regional balance and potential response options to similar incidents. Captain Reeves approached Ghost as the formal debrief concluded, his tactical mind having processed both her professional performance during the mission and the strategic value of intelligence she had provided. The initial skepticism about her presence had been replaced by recognition of operational competence that commanded respect from experienced military professionals. "Outstanding work up there," he said, his voice carrying genuine appreciation for professional excellence rather than patronizing acknowledgement. "Your tactical assessment will influence strategic planning at levels far above our operational authority." Ghost nodded acknowledgement while reviewing her post-flight checklist, the routine procedures providing familiar structure after the tension of conducting reconnaissance in politically sensitive environment. Her successful mission had demonstrated individual competence while providing intelligence crucial for strategic decision-making, but questions raised by Iranian capabilities would require answers from planners responsible for regional stability. The carrier's flight operations continued around them as morning shifted toward afternoon, the controlled chaos of military aviation providing backdrop for strategic discussions that would influence regional security for months to come. Ghost's reconnaissance had provided tactical intelligence, but strategic implications extended far beyond immediate operational considerations. The Iranian operation suggests capabilities we need to factor into future planning, Ghost observed, her tactical mind already processing implications that extended beyond immediate mission requirements. Their coordination, intelligence gathering, and professional execution indicate strategic thinking at levels that could complicate regional operations. Captain Reeves found himself appreciating both her tactical competence and strategic insights, recognition that extended beyond simple acknowledgement of professional performance toward genuine respect for operational capabilities that would prove valuable in future missions. The morning's reconnaissance had demonstrated that assumptions about personnel assignments sometimes proved incorrect when tested against operational reality. The afternoon briefing in the carrier's tactical center brought together senior officers representing multiple operational specialties, their collective experience providing context for Ghost's reconnaissance observations. The Iranian maritime interdiction had demonstrated capabilities that would influence American strategic planning for regional operations, raising questions about intelligence gaps and operational assumptions that might require revision. The precision of Iranian targeting suggests intelligence capabilities we may have underestimated, Ghost reported to the assembled officers. Their ability to identify specific cargo containers aboard humanitarian supply vessels indicates sophisticated collection and analysis capabilities that extend beyond simple maritime surveillance. Captain Reeves studied tactical displays that incorporated Ghost's observations alongside broader intelligence about Iranian military capabilities and regional strategic objectives. The coordination between naval forces, the professional execution of boarding operations, and the strategic restraint demonstrated toward American reconnaissance aircraft all suggested military planning at levels that connected directly to Tehran's national security decision-making apparatus. What are the implications for future operations in the region? Asked the carrier's commanding officer, seeking strategic assessment that would inform operational planning and resource allocation decisions. Iranian demonstrated ability to conduct sophisticated intelligence operations while maintaining plausible deniability, Ghost responded. Their professional military execution suggests capabilities that could complicate American operations throughout the region. The strategic restraint they showed indicates decision-making processes that factor international implications rather than responding to immediate tactical considerations. Her assessment would influence strategic briefings that reached multiple levels of government, tactical observations from reconnaissance mission, providing intelligence that couldn't be gathered through other collection methods. The Iranian operation had demonstrated capabilities that would require careful consideration by planners responsible for regional stability and American strategic interests. The senior intelligence officer reviewed Ghost's comprehensive tactical assessment, noting details that would prove valuable for understanding Iranian military capabilities and strategic intentions. The professional competence she had demonstrated during challenging reconnaissance mission, combined with strategic insights provided during debrief, had earned recognition from experienced military professionals who understood operational excellence when they observed it. This intelligence will influence strategic planning at multiple command levels, the commanding officer noted. The Iranian capabilities you documented represent strategic challenge that extends far beyond immediate tactical considerations. Ghost's mission had provided detailed assessment of Iranian military professionalism and strategic coordination that would influence American understanding of regional balance for months to come. Her observations from reconnaissance orbit above politically sensitive waters had gathered intelligence crucial for strategic decision-making processes, extending far beyond operational command authority. Captain Reeves found his assessment of Ghost continuing to evolve as he processed both her tactical performance and strategic insights. The professional competence demonstrated during the reconnaissance mission, combined with analytical capabilities displayed during intelligence debrief, had established credibility that transcended initial assumptions about personnel assignments and operational capabilities. The tactical displays in the carrier's intelligence center continued updating with regional surveillance data as afternoon progressed toward evening, the ongoing collection efforts providing broader context for Ghost's specific observations about Iranian maritime interdiction capabilities. Her reconnaissance had documented sophisticated military coordination that would influence strategic assessments of regional threats and American response options. The Iranian operation represents strategic challenge that requires careful assessment, Ghost concluded her briefing. Their demonstrated capabilities suggest planning and coordination at levels that could significantly complicate regional operations if not properly factored into strategic planning processes. Her final assessment would reach cabinet-level briefings within hours. Tactical intelligence gathered from reconnaissance mission above the strait providing detailed picture of Iranian military capabilities that would influence policy discussions at highest levels of government. The morning's mission had demonstrated both individual professional excellence and